Hey, this is Matthew and welcome back to Nerd News Today, and it's time for another action figure review. And today, this is one that I've been waiting for since we first saw her at Toy Fair. We have today from McFarlane Toys, the DC Multiverse series Wonder Woman, based on her Wonder Woman 1984 movie appearance. So as we know, unfortunately due to the COVID-19 outbreak, the Wonder Woman movie has been pushed back quite a bit. But the toys did still come out, so we get this nice preview here of what we can look forward to once Wonder Woman 84 does in fact get released, however it is going to get released. So we have not looked at any DC Multiverse figures yet at all from McFarlane, so I'm pretty excited to do that also, because we haven't even looked at a McFarlane toy since I think the Star Trek figure that they did of Picard and Kirk, and that was quite some time ago. So I'm glad to finally get back into things, and let's start by talking about the packaging. This is the same type of packaging we're seeing for all of the Multiverse figures, a very large window display, and fairly simple box design, but it is actually pretty nice. I like these little cuts here. It's a nice cut on the top as well, so you can kind of see down the top of it. On one side, we have Wonder Woman and the character's name here, where they're from on this side. The opposite side, again, continues to give us a little bit of a look into the packaging. So that is kind of clever way to do the window display, a little bit unique to them. But again, overall, fairly simple design that really just focuses on showing you as much of the figure as possible. We also get up top here a little disclaimer basically saying that this figure falls to the ground. That this figure has 22 points of articulation, and that's been something that's been very important for McFarlane to talk about with all their toys, is because most people know them for being basically staction figures, statuesque action figures, whereas now they've moved into the world of fully articulated figures, and they want people to really know that. So the back of the box here, again, fairly simple. We get just a mostly black packaging here with a very, very large photo of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman from the new movie, and on the bottom we get to see who else is joining her in this particular series, which includes the Golden Armor Wonder Woman, who we are going to be looking at soon enough, animated series Superman, animated series Batman, and Arkham Asylum, or possibly Arkham City, it's very hard to tell, Joker and Batman. And why am I saying it's so hard to tell who they are? Because that text is tiny. That is like 0.1 font right there. That's super duper tiny. I mean, seriously, even like the source information here for where this photo came from is easily double the size of that. Heck, even down here, this information that says collector card in English only, that is also double the size of the text that we're getting down here. So it's just stupid small down there. Does it need to be big? I mean, not really, because we know who they are, but at least make it legible, because that's just pathetic. But I don't really have much else to say about the packaging, because at the end of the day, I really just want to get Wonder Woman out of the box, because I've been looking forward to this one for quite some time. So let's go ahead and do that. And real quick, I wanted to show you guys what the inside of the box looks like before we look at Wonder Woman herself. Mostly because I want to show you guys how everything is packaged in here, because I didn't even know that the figure actually comes with a base. So I did see that it comes with a trading card. I didn't realize that it was actually going to be basically blistered onto the packaging here. And so that requires me to actually basically pull it out like it's its own toy. But yeah, it does have a base, which is kind of hiding in the bottom there. So just a heads up for you guys at home, don't throw out the packaging, just beware there is a base hiding underneath it. So here is our Wonder Woman now out of the packaging. And first thing I noticed about her is her size. She is a tall character, tall figure also, because I believe the McFarlane toys are an inch taller than what's typically on the market. Just for the sake of comparison, I brought out a few female figures from other lines, starting over here with Peyton Royce from Mattel's WWE Elite series, and then I also have over here a Princess Leia in her Hoth outfit from the Star Wars Black series. And you can clearly see there's a big difference in the size. So to be fair, this Princess Leia is pretty darn short, despite being part of the 6-inch Black series. That's just because they kept their sizes actually accurate to them. So she might not be the best example of that, but Peyton here is a good example because she is a proper 6-inch figure. So you can clearly see that the McFarlane Wonder Woman is a head taller. These are bigger figures compared to pretty much all the other DC toys that have come out at this point. Like maybe the DC collectibles figures are about the same size, but I'm pretty sure they're 6 inches also. So there is a little bit of a difference in the scale. Just something you guys should be aware of if you haven't bought a McFarlane toy before. But I personally like my toys to be kind of big, and especially with a character like Wonder Woman, I want her to be an Amazon, so I'm fine with that. Now let's talk about that face as well, because the likeness is where the action is really at with McFarlane toys. And this one again is no exception. It's another really superb face from the company here. And top to bottom, not only is the sculpt, I'd say, pretty darn great, I think the paint job is also very, very excellent, very smooth. It's like that kind of digital painting that they're doing now in a lot of companies. And so the difference here, though, is that there's not really any issues with paint application. I've looked at other toys, like again, I'd say the Mattel figures are probably the worst example of how the painting is, because those tend to be a little hit and miss. But like the Hasbro Star Wars Black series, for example, have pretty amazing paint jobs on them. But I would say the McFarlane toy here has got even better paint job than those. She's got really great lipstick, the eyes are amazing, eyebrows are great, but what I really like is that there's some blush in the cheeks, and that adds a lot of life to this figure. Just that little one detail does add a lot to it. If I was to nitpick, I would say that her eyebrows are a little bit uneven, I think, but that doesn't actually kill it for me, despite it kind of looking a little bit off, but not really enough for me to say, ew, I'm not gonna buy this. I would just consider that a warning to you guys, and if you're gonna get this, and generally we say this for all figures, so if you're gonna try and get a figure, try and find one in stores and really get a good long look at it, because I actually looked at a few different Wonder Woman figures, and this is the one that I thought had like the best likeness in terms of the paint application. None of them were bad, just again, I think it was the eyebrows that were all sometimes a little bit off, and I think one of them had like some schmutz on her leg, but we'll talk about that in a moment. But otherwise, yeah, the face is amazing. The hair is also really great. I love me some long hair. I think the one thing that I do notice about it that's kind of odd is the color of it. And you know, it's a little bit lighter than, especially what the packaging looks like. And I was actually there, the day I bought this from Target, in fact, I was there with Andrea, and we were kind of debating whether or not the hair was correct, because based on the box, it's supposed to be darker, but I thought that maybe the packaging was different looking because whatever, it's just a different image. But her hair normally is pretty dark, so I kind of wonder if she's lightened it up here at this point in the movie, and it's just, we don't know yet. So I can't really comment on the hair much without seeing the movie, because there's really nothing we have besides a trailer. You know, the hair definitely is a much lighter color than what I remember seeing Wonder Woman have previously. But, you know, I'm gonna reserve judgment on that. I'm just gonna say it's light and leave it at that for now. But it's a darn good head of hair though. And I really love the sculpting on this. And, you know, again, since I happen to have Peyton Royce here, that was another female figure whose hair I really liked, and also has similarly long hair. And, you know, the difference between the two is like almost night and day, because the paint jobs on them is what really separates them the most. And that paint job also helps bring out more of the detail in Wonder Woman's hair as opposed to Peyton Royce's hair, because they're probably similarly sculpted in terms of that level of detail, but because Wonder Woman's hair has got the highlights in them as well, it really makes it pop much more. So that's just hats off to the paint people at Mattel. And on that note, let's go ahead and jump into the paint, because Wonder Woman has got some really good paint all over her. You know, now as I mentioned, I think I saw like one figure in Target that had some schmutz on her leg, and others had some more eyebrow issues, but overall they were not that bad of issues. Like, I'm just a perfectionist because I'm a loose collector anyway. I want to get a good loose figure. The versions I saw that had flaws on them were very minute flaws. So, you know, while I do say that it's worth looking for her in person, if you were to take a risk and buy it online, I don't think you'd come out with too many problems. I mean, really, there's not much to say about it in terms of that element of it. They're all pretty clean looking. And you can see this figure is a really prime example of that. There is basically no schmutz on her whatsoever, front and back. And that's a pretty big compliment to pay to this figure, because keep in mind, I mean, we've got a lot of different things going on here. We've got metallic paints as well as flat color paints with matte finishes. And sometimes we've seen in the past that metallic paints in particular are sometimes a little more gloopy, so there could be sometimes a little bit of too much of them, or they'll just show up in other parts of the figure. But for the most part here, everything is really clean. If there is anything that's off, it is like super not noticeable. Because you could say that there's a little bit of stuff on like one of her boots, but it's really minute. It's not enough to even nitpick over. So the paint job is just really beautiful. And the articulation also. Now again, we mentioned that McFarlane Toys are really big on pushing that articulation factor. So we know that Wonder Woman has 22 points for articulation. Let's go ahead and test that out right now and see how they move. So off the bat, I can say that we're down to 21 points because that head is, that's not moving too much. I mean, it does move, but you gotta force it, and I don't wanna do that. So I'm gonna remove a point of articulation from that. However, well, this is actually a surprise. I'll have to show you guys from the back. So Wonder Woman has the, I don't really know what to call it, but it's like basically a two-part shoulder chest joint kind of thing. And this gives her a lot of flexibility. So you can see there that extra joint that's over here, that's what allows her to actually bring her hands a little bit closer together if we wanted to, or just stretch it out higher. It gives her a lot more range of motion, so that's unexpected. You can see we also have double jointed elbows here, so she can get her hands super close to her face, get into a fighting position, get you some good dynamic posing. The wrist moves as well as the hand, so that's really good. It's a little tight now though, but it does move. So here's another point of contention with a lot of folks, and that's the type of torso that this figure has. So, you know, a lot of other figures we've seen, I'll pull out Peyton again. You can see that we've got the kind of chest joint a certain way. All of the McFarlane toys have a different type of chest joint, and it's one that doesn't really interrupt the toy as much in some ways. You know, and again, some people like it, some don't. I haven't made a decision on it yet, but it's very different, I'll say that much, in that it's almost a little bit more of a hidden chest joint. So it looks like it does offer a pretty good range of motion, maybe more so than other figures have. But this is my first time looking at that joint even, so, you know, I'm gonna reserve judgment as well on it. But from my initial glance at it here, looks really good, and it works really good too. No complaints about that. The waist does move, does not move. I don't know. I don't think the waist actually turns on this character either, because we have this sarong or battle sarong, whatever you want to call this here. Her battle skirt, that's kind of blocking her movement a little bit, so we can't really turn her waist as far as I can tell. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, somebody can let me know. And on that same note, let's see. So this I'm actually surprised about too, though. So despite her waist not moving, we do have pretty great leg articulation despite this skirt being in the way. Let's see if we get her to stay in her split. There you go. I mean, hey, Gal Gadot is a trained dancer, isn't she? So that's really good articulation on that, but that seems to be where it ends. There is no thigh articulation, no thigh cut there, so that's kind of limiting, but we do have a double jointed knee, which you can see there. This is about as high as she can get her leg, by the way, so you guys can see that. We do have a ball jointed ankle. We also have toe articulation there, so she can do that. That's kind of creepy and weird, but yeah, it's there. So while I don't really want to count the articulation, I will question the 22 points because I do kind of wonder if that waist was part of it and I can't tell if it's moving or not. And really that neck is not that great. I mean, really, how much I can even really need to move her neck for a lot of poses, so I'm not going to subtract too many points for that. But I will say I am very impressed by the articulation that is present here. Double jointed knees and elbows, as well as the double jointed chest part. I'm really digging that. I'm actually digging what they've done here, and I look forward to checking out some other figures that probably have less things blocking their articulation to really test it out. Maybe something like the Batman or a Green Lantern or a Superman, they might have some easier articulation, so that's going to be something I might investigate in a future review. Now this Wonder Woman comes with a few accessories. She comes with two versions of her lasso, or lasso if you're from Canada. This version here is basically the one that's wrapped up, which you would hang on this convenient little lasso holder over there. But she also comes with this extended version of the lasso, which is pretty cool. It's actually kind of flexible, so you can get in some different poses with it. And let's see if we can get it into her hand. So there you go, you can get that into her hand, and she could lasso folks. And in addition to that, as we showed you guys before, she comes with her base. Let's go ahead and put her on that right now. You can see she has peg holes in the bottom of her feet. Let's see how this base works. There you go. But as you saw, this whole review, I didn't even have her on the base, so she doesn't really need it to stand up. She can stand up pretty well on her own. But the base does add a nice little layer of security to it. And finally, here is the Wonder Woman trading card that we got in the back of the box. And it's actually a very thick cut trading card. It's like the size of maybe 2 cards put together. So it's fairly thick. It's got a nice bio on the back as well. It does not talk a ton about anything in the movie besides her battling her greatest foe, the cheetah. That's all we know about the movie based on this data file card here. It also says she's a Smithsonian curator, but I think we knew that already from the previous movie. So, you know, they're hiding any information, at least on this figure. We'll see if the Golden Wonder Woman has any more info about the new movie, but I imagine they're doing their best to keep it very tight-lipped. But that's our look at Wonder Woman, and it is pretty great. Yeah, I can't believe it's been this long since we've looked at a McFarlane Toy figure at all. And I was very excited when they announced they had the master license to make DC figures. So seeing it now firsthand in person and touching an actual product from this line is really great. It's a very strong figure. It makes me more curious about the entire line to see what else they've done. To be fair, I'm mostly interested in the versions based on movies or TV shows, just because I think the likenesses are great. And I think I have enough animated style figures that I don't really need them from McFarlane. And in this video, we talked about how great the paint was, how great the articulation was. There's a lot of great things about this figure that I think are worth looking at more figures in the future. And if you're a DC collector, you know, I know a lot of you guys have probably been used to buying the 6-inch scale figure, and McFarlane do 1 inch bigger. So, you know, that part I know will probably suck for a lot of you guys out there, but it is really nice to have a slightly bigger figure. It looks good. The price point is also pretty great as well. These have been generally not terribly hard to find. I mean, some are harder to find than others, but overall, these are not terribly difficult to get. So, you know what, I'd say that this is a pretty great Wonder Woman, you know. And even if you're not like a super duper collector of these kinds of things, it's just a really good standout figure. You know, like I'm not a big DC person, but when I saw this, I was just blown away by the likeness and the paint and everything. I had to have her. So there you go, guys. This is what Wonder Woman looks like from McFarlane Toys. Thanks for watching this video. If you're new to the channel, please make sure you like the video and give us a subscription, hit the notifications, do all the things that everybody else tells you to do when looking at videos. You've heard it before, I don't need to say it again. And make sure to stick around here next time, because in the next review we're going to take a look at Wonder Woman in her golden armor. That's going to be a really, really fun one, I think. That's a figure that I am very looking forward to opening. So stick around, we'll see you guys next time. Be safe out there.